If you're a projector in Human Design and you're trying to find ways that Human Design can help you improve your performance, achieve the level of success that you want, and actually have a more enjoyable and exciting work life, then this video is for you. If you're new to this channel, my name is Veronica. I'm a coach and Human Design guide. And on this channel, I talk about Human Design in a way that is easy to understand and simple to implement. If that sounds good, then make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you do enjoy this video, then please remember to give it a thumbs up. In last week's video, we looked at how can you use Human Design as a tool to help you find your dream job. So if you are currently looking to change your job, to change your career path, then I would encourage you to check that video first. But this video is really for those of you who are in a job that you currently can't leave even if you wanted to, or you're in a job that you actually do enjoy and you're just looking for ways to improve your experience, improve your results, improve the success that you're seeing so that you can progress within your career at the pace that you would like to. Now, I do want to share a disclaimer before we go any further, just to remind you, especially if you're new to Human Design, that your energy type, so you being a projector, is not your whole design. So what that means is that these tips specifically look at one aspect of your design, in this case your energy type of the projector, and I'm sharing tips on the base of that one aspect. But there are so many more layers to your design that I do encourage you to become aware of and to understand. And if you haven't done so already and you want to start to dive deeper into what makes you you and you don't really know where to get started, then I do encourage you to check out my Human Design Codex. This is a 55+ page completely personalized guide that is based on your Human Design chart, on your specific body graph, and it spells out for you exactly what you need in order to thrive in every area of your life. So if you're getting started and you're keen to understand your Human Design as a whole, then that is a great resource that I encourage you to go and have a look at. So without further ado, and in no particular order, let's look at the 4 tips I want to share with you to help you as a projector in the workplace. Tip number 1 is to learn to diagnose your bitterness. Now, you may be familiar with this, but bitterness in Human Design is a telltale sign that a projector is not in alignment. What that means is that a projector is showing up in the world for themselves and for others in a way that doesn't truly allow them to thrive. So the first thing I want you to do is to carry out an audit. I want you to look at your job, to look at your career, to look at your role, and ask yourself, am I feeling any bitterness? And if so, what exactly is causing this feeling? So often people come to me and they're exasperated and they'll say something like, I hate my job. They will use these blanket statements that paint everything with the same brush, put everything under the same umbrella. And so their job becomes this one huge unhappy aspect of their life. And oftentimes they start to feel like they're living a bad life because they're in a bad job. So what we want to do is we want to start dismantling these big, bold statements, and we want to start to get specific. For example, right now, someone might be thinking that they hate their job. In reality, when we start to challenge that belief, they might realize that actually they love their commute. They might recognize that actually they really enjoy their colleagues and they have a social life because of the colleagues that they have at work. They may enjoy the skills that they're having, or they may simply enjoy having a steady salary and a steady paycheck that allows them to live in their home, pay their bills, and be able to pay for their lifestyle. So there will be loads of aspects within the job that they're in that they will really enjoy and appreciate and be grateful for, and that they would miss if they didn't have those things. But what they do recognize as they go through this process of exploration, understanding, and unpacking is that there'll be something specific that really hurts them or frustrates them or causes that bitterness. So it could be that their boss is really dismissive or doesn't give them any autonomy or gives them too much responsibility, but they don't see a financial remuneration on the back of it. So oftentimes, it'll be one or a few specific aspects of your job that you do not enjoy, but it won't be the entire job. And so what we do is we need to get specific as to what the problem is, because a specific problem can then lead us to a specific solution. So tip number 2 from me is going to be become the guardian of your energy. Something that we know is that as projectors, not having a defined sacral, our energy fluctuates, and our energy can fluctuate hour to hour, day to day. So it's really important that we become super intentional in using the energy that we do have really efficiently. especially in the workplace. Granted, everyone watching this is going to have a different role with different schedules, different responsibilities, different commitments. But some examples of what this could look like is being consciously aware of your schedule and proactively managing your calendar. So instead of reacting to people inviting you to meetings or people giving you certain responsibilities on certain days, you want to, wherever possible, take that ownership, bring it in-house, and make sure that you're deciding when and how you're giving your energy to the different roles and responsibilities that you have to fulfill. A huge energy drain for a lot of people that work in corporate roles are meetings. And oftentimes these meetings are very inefficient. You don't actually get anything done. Decisions are made. And so they can quickly become a time drain and an energy drain because two things tend to happen. Number one, whilst you're in meetings, you're not able to actually do the work that you need to get done, which then adds up on your plate at the end of the day. And number two is energetically draining because you're often exposed to loads of different opinions, loads of different people, some of who love to talk and take up a lot of space and a lot of time and a lot of your energy. So meetings can be a huge drain for the majority of people in the workplace. And so something you can do is to start being a little bit more selective as to which meetings you attend. Again, I get that this is not always possible. So there are, of course, circumstances that need to be taken into consideration. But have a look. Is there any room to currently improve the amount of energy that you're giving away to, for example, meetings? Another way that you can become a lot more intentional with your calendar and with your work week is to batch tasks. Start batching similar tasks together, because if there's something else that we know about projectors is that projectors thrive when they're able to focus their energy. So often jumping from one task to the other throughout the day constantly isn't very conducive with how your energy wants to naturally work and how your energy wants to be used. So you'd be better off and you'd be a lot more efficient if you were grouping, for example, admin tasks together or sending emails together or grouping and making phone calls around the same time of day or dedicating specific slots of time to do collaborative work. And this often achieves two things. Number one, it allows you to reduce the time you waste rebuilding your momentum every time you go from one task to another. And number two, it allows your energy to work efficiently on one task for a period of time so that you can immerse yourself and go deeper in the task that you're trying to complete instead of spreading yourself wide but thin. Another way that you can become super intentional and conscious of your calendar is actually scheduling in breaks and taking them. Again, this can be a huge challenge if you're busy at work, if you have deadlines, if the work is starting to pile on top of you, and you often think, I cannot step away from my desk, I cannot take a break, I cannot step away from my responsibilities because there's so much to do, I'm already overwhelmed and I need all the hours of the day I can get. But often removing yourself, even if you take a 5-minute break to just recenter, reset your energy, ideally go outside by yourself rather than being surrounded by colleagues, for example. Go to the toilet for 5 minutes, go take a walk outside, go make yourself a drink, and just take those little breaks by yourself to regroup, to reconnect with your energy, to do a little bit of a check-in. How am I feeling? How close am I to feeling completely depleted? Because I need to be refilling my cup before I get there. Because once you get to burnout, it's so much harder to get back to feeling like your normal self. And as a projector watching this, chances are you've experienced burnout probably more than once, and it's no fun. We all know it. Most of us have been there. Most of us dread it. And the only way you're not going to get to burnout is if you catch yourself and bring yourself back into alignment before you go over the threshold. So take your lunch breaks, take your coffee breaks, and you'll find that although it feels counterintuitive, taking those breaks is actually going to allow you to get back to your work and be more efficient in how you approach your tasks, rather than, for example, working through your lunch and working at a really low energetic level, which means that the tasks that you're doing are going to take you 2-3 times as long. Take these examples I'm giving you and try to tweak them and mold them and apply them to your work environment. Although the examples I'm giving you might be completely unattainable for you and your work, at least try to draw out the concept of what I'm sharing with you and think outside the box as to how you could apply something similar to your circumstances to help you become the guardian of your energy, so that when you do something, you can do it well, and so that you don't have to sacrifice your well-being in order to get your work done. Tip number 3 is to be proud of the work that you do. no matter what their work is. Self-recognition for projectors is one of the most important aspects of your strategy, because a strategy for a projector is to wait for the invitation. And the first step to attracting those aligned invitations is to recognize your own worth, to really be invested in the work that you do, to find joy in doing the things that you do and in doing them in your way. So if you want to improve the way that you are performing at work, if you want to improve your experience and enjoyment of the work that you do, shift your intention to be the best at your role that you can be. Because as you do that, and as you start focusing on making yourself proud of the way that you're showing up, of the effort you're putting in, of the work that you're doing, you will start to feel more confident in yourself. You will start to recognize your own self-worth. You'll start to recognize and see and acknowledge your value, the value that you bring to the table. And from that position, it becomes so much easier for you to get noticed by others as well. What most people do is that they look for external validation when they themselves doubt their worth or doubt their value or feel like imposters or lack confidence or don't even recognize what they bring to the table. And so they rely on external validation to feel good about themselves, to believe that they're in the right role. And when we rely on external validation, we become needy, we become desperate. That creates a resistance around you that others feel. This is often where we get stuck in those cycles of, but I'm doing all this work, how can they not recognize me? But I'm picking up the slack, how can they not promote me? Why are they not offering to move me up the chain? By bringing it back into yourself, what you're doing is that you're reclaiming that control, you're reclaiming that power. You are empowering yourself to start to see the value in what you do and to start to radiate that inner confidence. Instead of emanating that feeling of bitterness, of resentfulness, of victimhood sometimes, you will start to radiate more gravitas. You will start to radiate more confidence. So self-recognition, super, super important. I could do a whole video just on this topic because often people don't really know where to get started with self-recognition and they don't fully appreciate the huge ripple effect it creates, especially given our strategy to wait for the invitation. This is the fourth tip that I'm going to share with you, is that as a projector in the workplace, you want to learn to coach and not tell. So as we've looked at in previous videos, when it comes to projectors, our value is in what we see, not in what we do. But also it's highlighted how important it is for us projectors to be invited to share those insights, because the insights that we do have are often deep and people need to be ready to want to address whatever it is that you want to bring to the table. If they're not ready, they're going to feel intimidated and they're going to back away and you're going to feel that resistance. So in the workplace, it's really important for you to start to create that good flow of energy that is going to attract those invitations with the self-recognition, and then to respect the rhythm and the timings and the patience that you need to wait to be invited to share your insights. I hear you asking, what does that look like? What does that actually mean on a practical level? So let me give you specific examples. Stop telling your colleague what they should do. Even if you have good intentions, even if they're moaning to you with a problem, stop assuming that your role in that exchange is to then come back and tell them what to do. And I know this is a common problem because projectors always get people coming to them to moan and to vent and to share because they feel seen by projectors. We're very, very good at allowing people to feel seen and heard and understood, but people coming to you to share isn't an automatic invite for you to start giving advice and telling people what to do. And I don't have to tell you, I'm sure that you can look at your life and you can look at your work and you can look at your experiences and notice the times that you gave advice and it was thrown back in your face, or it wasn't well received, or it created conflict or pushback. And then of course, that puts you out of alignment and causes bitterness because you'll be thinking, well, I'm trying to help you, I'm giving you a solution, and yet you're not willing to take it on board. That creates the bitterness and that feeds into negative self-talk and you not living your best life. So an easy way that you can start to train yourself to move away from advice giving and wait to be invited to share your insight is to start asking questions instead of giving answers. So taking that example of a colleague coming to you, moaning about something, moaning about a project, instead of giving them a solution, ask them, what can I do to help? Instead of assuming what they need from you in that moment, get them to tell you. Because they might say, there's nothing you can do, I just need to talk to someone. In which case, great, you fulfilled your role, you can get on with your day. And if you recognize you don't like that role, you don't like to be the go-to person that people kind of moan to, then it's your turn to put some boundaries in place going forward. Or they might turn around and say, actually, what would you do in my case? Or what would you advise me? The minute they open that door to you is the moment that you've been invited to share your insight, and your insight will be well received. And they will feel like they've been helped, and you will feel like you've been of service and of value, so you will feel good, and everything will flow as it should. Another example might be that you're in a meeting and everyone's talking, and often projectors can feel overlooked, overshadowed. They can feel like when they're in the presence of bolder energy types, such as your manifestors, your manifesting generators, they can feel like everyone else is much louder and they're getting more attention. And sometimes what they will do is they'll revert back to what children do, which is, if you're not giving me attention and I want your attention, I'm going to demand it. I'm going to scream and shout until you notice me. So what that can look like is a projector taking over the conversation or speaking over people to share their insights and to share their solutions. And again, oftentimes that won't be well received. And they will feel undervalued and unrecognized, and they'll feel like, well, no one takes me seriously or no one respects me. In those moments, let's say if you're in a meeting and everyone's talking, use the power of silence. Silence sometimes says a lot more than words. Use your skill to observe, understand on a deeper level, gain those really powerful insights, and trust that they will come in handy. So instead of jumping in just to get a say, wait for that invitation to arrive. And if it doesn't, trust that that is also okay. And perhaps that wasn't a setting for you to be sharing the insights that you have. Perhaps that will come in a one-to-one conversation later, or it will come next month when they realize that everything that was discussed in that meeting hasn't worked out and they're looking for someone to bring their expertise, and you might be that person. And something that projectors can do to encourage these invitations is to simply make themselves available. Make themselves available energetically, but actually be available to opportunities, to being invited, to being asked to contribute, but also make yourself available on a practical level. So let people know, hey, if there's anything that I can do, please let me know. If there's any way that I could support this project, I would love to contribute. By making yourself available, you're not imposing your contribution. You are not creating that resistance. You're not creating that pressure, but you're making yourself visible. You're making yourself available so that the right opportunities can come to you. If they don't, it's also important for you to trust that those opportunities were not meant for you. And if you adopt that way of thinking, you remain empowered. You don't become the victim of circumstances. You remain in control of how things are going to unfold for you. You remain open. You're not closing yourself off. Like I mentioned earlier, not all of these tips are going to work for your specific circumstances, but I hope that you can draw ideas from them and tweak them so that they work for you and your specific role at this point in time. Remember that your projector energy is not the only aspect of your design that I encourage you to take into consideration when we're looking at your life, your work, and the Codex is there and immediately available for download if you want to get your hands on all of that information. And equally, if you're looking for more bespoke, customized support that is based on you, your circumstances, and your entire unique design, then I do offer one-to-one support. And I will leave the link to my website down in the description box below so you can check it out if you're called to do so. But I hope you found this video helpful. As always, if you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I hope to see you here next week. Bye guys.